Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Extra. Let's kickstart this segment by taking a look at the Weekend Trust, which you know, of course, is packed with a lot of stories that would keep you on your toes and up to speed for the weekend. A major story, of course, is on why VP is yet to occupy the new house. Now, we all know that Vice President Kashim Shettima had, the federal government gave a residential or vice president residence in Abuja normally. And this is something that has, I think when it started, Fatima, it even caused a bit of controversy where there was a lot of miss up in terms of the budget. And people were saying, why does they need a new renovation? Why do even they need the new, all of that? It's like overspending. So after one whole year, entire year of being in government, he's even still yet to. So
to move in, right?
To move in, yes.
And I remember we talked about it here that he needed about 100 or 200 and something million naira. Or
I think I think we're talking about
to renovate.
And we're asking why. Why was the need for it?
We did a phone open conversation, and even the expenditure, the travel expenditures and what have you. And 1 year still, and this will actually make Nigerians to say, you see what we are saying?
Yeah,
there was no need for spending that money and what have you. I mean, it's just like looking at people like Trump and Elon Musk becoming president, and you tell them to move into the White House when in their own comfort they have what is much more than in the White House. So this is just what it is.
Of course. I mean, if we know that this is something presidential, but we've seen even a situation of kings not even moving out, then moving into the royal home. They will say, no, I prefer the comfort of my home. Let's just leave the royal home for the official sittings and all of that. So if at all you're asking Nigerians to make sacrifices, there should be a sacrifice. We all know that the vice president, he has his own wealth. He doesn't need the extra, vice president.
He was a governor before becoming a vice president, and definitely they don't just stay like that. They have one businesses or the other, and being politicians they get salaries and their own incomes also aside from whatever it is they do. So definitely they have the money.
Indeed. I mean, Nigerians, you should see where your taxpayers' money is going through. Too, there's a pictorial of this house there and the entrance to the residence. We see a picture of the Vice President Kashim Shettima, flanked on the right by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, and on the left by the FCT Minister of State Maria Mahmood, and of course the President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio, during the official commissioning of the Vice President residence in Abuja on June 7th of 2024. And of course, this was a picture that was taken a long time ago, but then he's yet to. The money was spent, the renovation was done, but he's still yet to move into the house. So if at all we have spent that much money, why has he not moved? That way it will give us succor that our money did not go to waste. If you want the details of that story, of course, you can check out the page 4 of the Weekend Trust. Now below there we see our position on Lagos, Calabar, Sokoto, Badagry roads. This is according to the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. If you want the details of that, you'd find that on page 11. On security matters, it says bandits abduct 12 worshippers from Sokoto mosque. Now, this was the recent one that happened yesterday. I think it happened on Wednesday evening, but then we were told on Thursday that these bandits kidnapped and abducted worshippers just while they're praying, including the imam in Sokoto. So this is another alarming situation that we were talking about earlier, saying in a period of a week, we've had multiple bandit attacks, we've had multiple kidnappings. We know of the Katsina one that was done in Bakori local government area, and it was huge as well. And now we have a report saying that because the former IG that was kidnapped, just his own ransom, he's been asked to pay 250 million, or his family, in an era where we know everyone is basically struggling. I literally tell you how frustrated I get in terms of these topics, because I've had a personal discussion with people, especially from Zamfara, who had to sell their land, their farmland, their inheritance, just to pay off bandits. And then after a month, they came back to take another brother for that same family to pay off another one. And the brother said, my family have nothing, so you have to just kill me. And he fought them until they shot him dead. He said, because I cannot put my family through what they just went through a month ago. So this is the thing happening in our country.
So you'll be wondering, you know, like when this whole thing started initially, it started as initially Boko Haram, they said they were fighting for the rights of Nigerians, right? And then it turned into something else. And then we saw the bandits also coming in with their own and saying, oh, we're protecting our own people because we get intruders coming in to attack and what have you. And now it has turned to something else. The same people in the same communities are the ones attacking the same people. And you'll be wondering what is the aim or the motive behind that, because you can't say you're protecting your people and then you still attack your own people, or you want to take ransoms from your own people when you know you're living in that community with them. You know that they don't have it. They probably just have the land, like you talked about, just to survive, or they go out of their ways to even rent out, because they rent out lands, you know, for farmers and what have you. And then this is happening. It's just cruel.
It is cruel at the highest point.
This is not humanity. It's not what humanity says.
Yeah. And it's a case of, you know, when you said it started this way, we all know even at that time they were sponsored. So I think it's a case of do not start chaos because you don't know where it will lead you to. Yes,
and you don't know how it's going to end.
Exactly. I have seen a public video of American, I think, Secretary of State or former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton making this great bold statement saying, we sponsored, you know, some of these groups like the ISIS in some countries, but then she said it got out of hand that we could not longer control them.
Exactly.
So there are situations of I even believe that perhaps some of the financiers cannot even control these people anymore, and then they are allowing Nigerians to have to deal with all of this baggage.
When you keep killing, what do you expect? How can you control someone that just loves to kill?
Has a weapon.
There are people that just wake up and they just feel, oh, I just felt like doing it. So how can you control people like that? It's a mental breakdown. I mean,
Fatima, not to make a joke out of this, but we've seen people just own a car and you ram into each other and they come out telling you, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
That's how much power people know just in terms of money. Then imagine giving a human being who is really complex a gun, something that he knows that even a big man can kneel down in front of him because they are fearful of their life. That for their life, that is something that is really scary. And I don't know who are the sponsors of this, but you cannot tell me that until now you're still benefiting out of blood money.
We keep using the statement that the former late President Abacha made. He said when it supersedes 24 hours, then there is a hand
from the authorities.
Exactly. So it's been more than 10 years since Boko Haram started and then up until now. So what do you expect?
Well, we all know that definitely the evil that men do lives after them. I don't know
how these people are sleeping.
Yeah, but it's fine.
The people sponsoring, I don't know how they get.
It's fine. We'll keep calling out. We'll keep calling out people because we're paying them taxes to use it and keep us secure and give us basic amenities. So we keep calling them out until they do right by us. And we know that the evil that men do live after them. So you know the saying of 99 days for the thief and one day for the owner.
Yeah.
Yes, a day would come.
Yeah.
A day of reckoning would definitely come. And as much as we are heavy on religion and we believe in the hereafter, I want them to be humiliated in this world first. And it would be, we would see it, because we've lost a lot of lives that it really breaks my heart. And our heart goes to the people in this community of Sokoto, Katsina, Borno. We saw people from Borno State driving to Adamawa Market, and they stepped on or they drove on explosive, the IEDs, and it cost the lives of 2 people and injured people. So we're hoping that one day we get to see the end of this. Honestly, it's really sad that it's Saturday where we're supposed to be legs. But
for the fact that we take the newspapers, we can't help but see stories like this, and it would definitely make us see things that we wouldn't have wanted to, just not to put people on their feet to say, oh, every day is the same complaints over and over in all the platforms, be it television or social media, is the same thing over and over. It's just the story that changes.
I mean, we keep getting a lot of distraction because I think this is a heavy distraction, insecurity, where you're not secure, so you wouldn't even think of where your tax money is going to. So I think that's a heavy discussion. But later, we're going to be talking about another thing that seemed, in my own view, to be another distraction. So make sure you just stay tuned, and I cannot wait because we'll be opening the phone line on that one. Now, below the headlines there, we see farming is the stupidest thing to do for a retiree. Now, this is according to Alhaji Garba Gumel. I am curious about that statement.
Well, when he said that, I just saw the former President Buhari saying, "Farmo." So
and he said Nigerians are lazy because we don't like to farm anymore.
Now at this point, if this is, I was just wondering, and it's coming from an elder.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, what does he mean?
What exactly do they want us to do?
I know that farming actually brings food for a lot of people. We get to buy food. For those producing, get to have money to also take care of their needs. So when he's saying that, I was wondering what he meant by that. But it's a story.
It is, and this, of course, it's featured in our reminiscences. The program. I think it will be aired on Sunday, so make sure you stay tuned
and just hear why he said
why.
But then still,
because there's a context. We just remove it. You need to understand the context of where he is coming from. Because I know Bello Musa had an interview with a retiree, a woman who had her own farm in her own house. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so we know that we've seen people benefiting from it, but why is he saying this? I mean, so have an open mind.
So for a retiree, that's the caption. Yes. That's where you get to wonder, what does this mean? So, and it's the people that have actually retired that are into farming the most.
Because they have more time.
Yeah, but then we see younger ones also taking it seriously because they know what it entails to be a farmer.
Please take it seriously. So, Fatima, we've seen country grow their economy with exporting
people, like
produce.
Places like Saudi Arabia, Dubai,
Mexico.
They are there in need of ginger, I think garlic and the rest, so onions and what have you, and people actually export them, and that's a way of making money. Imagine you have that at the back of your house and you're growing this.
Absolutely. And I know we made a report on that ginger, where farmers are calling that it seems to be dwindling. They don't produce as much. So we're hoping stakeholders interested in investing in farming would at least give them, because that is one of the strengths of Nigeria in exportation, which is, of course, ginger farming. And we've seen Mexico even exports roses. They're strong in that, and they export it to the USA and all of that. So these are things that that if the little thing that you think might not really be important in your country, another country is really looking for it. So farming is really good for the youth.
We have a lot of things actually that get exported, but then some states shouldn't even be broke at this point,
Absolutely. Like Benue, let me talk to Benue governor. We know that your mantra is food, the food basket of the nation. I mean, come on now, we're expecting you to be rich, so that I can come and you'd adopt me.
But then, they've been having this clash with the communal clash recently, and people dying and what have you. And these are the kind of things that we keep talking about.
We don't need that.
And this actually, people don't understand that when there are crises like this or conflicts like this, it slows the production and the economy of that state.
Absolutely.
That it's actually going through that. So, I mean, it's a whole lot of sensitization and enlightenment that needs to be done for people to understand that you don't need to have these clashes within yourselves.
Criminals wanting to penetrate us,
tribes should come together to stay in peace.
True.
It's a whole
ethical wars, farmers, herders. I know Benin have faced that as well. So please, don't allow us to carry cord and wipe you on your neck. For us to have sense that we need unity rather than division. All right, away from that, you find that story on page 8. It says, your budget lacks transparency, Obi tells Tinubu. Now, we know that in the past month, we've seen the presidential candidates for the LP in the 2024 election, or 2023 election rather, have back and forth with the presidency, where the presidency is saying opposition are more critical. It's because it's like an attack while the opposition are saying, no, 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 we're just calling you to order because that is how a democratic system should be. If something is not going right, then we definitely would call you into order. So Obi is saying the budget lacks transparency. And why he pointed this out is because of the recent increase on the budget. We know that the budget was about 44 trillion naira rather, and the president just increased the budget by 4 point, I think, I'm not sure on the number right now, but over 4 trillion naira right now. And Obi is asking, why do we need that increment? But in the budget defense, I had to attend some, and in the budget defense, majority of the similarities of this head of agencies and ministries was a complaint about being underfunded. We all had that situation. They feel underfunded. They feel like they need more money and all of that. So in terms of all of that, that's what we are talking about. And now Obi is asking if at all we need this. Is it really important for us right now? Now, of course, we need transparency in terms of that, of what those 4 point something million is needed, or a big trillion, I beg your pardon. I don't know why I keep saying million. Trillion naira is needed for. Away from that, we see a day at Lagos exotic meat market. Now, we've been talking about how the cost of meat has increased. We're hoping that the reduction in fuel prices would also reduce the prices of meat. But yes, if you want to get a feel of what it looks like to go to the Lagos exotic meat market, then you can check that on page 29. Now, these are basically some of the stories that you'd find on the Weekend Trust this Saturday.
Well, let's quickly rush into the Saturday Punch. And then the major story there says, government businessmen back anti-IPOB vigilantes as Southeast violence escalates. And then the writer says, states VIPs raise funds to equip vigilantes against rampaging gunmen. Now, we just talked about this whole thing, back and forth. And, these are people taking the initiative to raise funds to kind of support and protect their own communities, but we just hope it doesn't get out of hand as usual.
Amen.
Well, you can find that story on page 4, and then above the belt you see, my brother has never demanded a kobo for funding my election. This is coming from Adeleke. I mean, you people are rich, nobody will demand for anything. Well, go through page 11 for more details. Warri refinery undergoes maintenance 1 month after resuming operations. I'm just curious and wondering. I mean, after putting up money to, revive it, and then just 1 month, why maintenance?
Yeah.
Hasn't that been done?
I think while driving here, I just heard something, not so clear on that, but I heard that there was an explosion in the Warri refinery. I'm not sure.
Just like it happened at Dangote refinery, regardless of the fact that it was built new.
Exactly. So I think I heard something like that.
And
so
something is missing then.
Yes.
Then there are
Hence
some
the reason
things that
of the
need to be
maintenance.
looked into, because we wouldn't want this to keep happening, because there's going to be a whole lot of loss.
Yes,
at
and
the
a
end of
drag
the day.
back.
Yes. So, but then go through page 8 for more details. Tinubu orders database cleanup as FG uncovers 60,000 Nigerians with NIN. And I'm wondering, it got me wondering how people from other countries have NIN in Nigeria as well.
Listen, as much as I know that it hurts us that, Nigerians over 3,000 will be deported due to illegal migration, but I am a supporter of doing things legal.
Yeah.
You cannot go to other people's country undocumented at a time where everybody is trying to fight insecurity. And right now, based on some conversation we have with people who have been kidnapped by bandits, one of the things that they always say is that you tend to hear the English or the conversation or the Hausa seeming as though it's not from this country,
But then, the Niger Hausa sounds like Sokoto. So you can't differentiate
all of that, yes.
But then, there are some questions that should be asked.
Of course, and situation of Lakurawa and all of that.
Your community, your country, and what have you.
How can someone come from another country and have NIN?
Except they are groomed to say they are from Nigeria and they have evidences to prove. I don't know how other people can have NINs that is meant to be for the citizens of the country.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
I think
I appreciate the fact that the president is saying that there should be a cleanup.
Of course.
That way we'll be able to, and then the consensus needs to happen.
Because I tell you,
needs to happen for us to know how many Nigerians we're talking about here, and then
to even
that
avoid
would actually
the census. I think there should be a mandatory situation of, even if we know some people tend to prefer giving birth at home, which is not safe, but even if you decide to do that, you have to come and register your son, your child, using thumbprint and all that, so that the government will officially have it documented.
So if you lose any of your family members,
you go
they will know that
yes.
it's there in the system, and then it will be captioned that this person is
also
dead.
passed.
And then
I think we should start here. Already we couldn't start earlier because of documentations, or there was no technology for that, so we understand.
But now we have it.
Now we have it. So let's start from this generation. Let's start from these kids that have been born now.
Well,
because this is definitely adding to insecurity.
And then I appreciate his policies, even though it's just kind of slow in implementation. But then I like the steps that we see them taking to adjust
some
and
of
make
the steps.
yes, some of that's what I'm saying, steps that we see them taking, not all. But then some of the implementation is very slow. Some we see that is actually going fast. But then consistency is what we are fighting for. Don't start and stop.
Of course.
And then we just don't know. I mean, there's a story saying that a lot of ghost workers, which is something you don't take away, but there are thousands of ghost workers,
and it should be addressed. Should be addressed
because
as soon
they keep
as possible.
collecting money. There are people that money is going into their accounts, and then Nigerians are left suffering when you keep saying money should keep going around to support families and
the money could have been used for something else. Yes, and in terms of this, I take this seriously, Fatima, because in that 6,000, there is no way we cannot find at least 10 criminals.
Exactly.
So we need to be
just
done.
like the issue with the local hours. I mean, it's the same people from the same place.
Yes.
But then we're not trying to point fingers. But
our immigration needs to do better.
Something needs to be done. We'll go through page 4 for more details. And then Lagos community where Christians, Muslims, traditionalists worship side by side. I mean, this is beautiful anytime you see stories like this. And this was just what we just talked about. Religious, and tribes should come together to live in
I mean, that's what
peace
is
and
supposed
harmony,
to make us look
not always
beautiful.
have conflicts, This is actually nice to see. And coming from Lagos, where is the center of commerce, it's nice to see that there are people that actually think this way. I mean,
of course.
Imagine what Christmas or Salah and then whatever the traditionalists believe in is going to be like, so definitely it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's what India do, right?
Yeah,
I know they do have it side by side, a building for every religion.
Yeah. But then go through page 22 and 23 for more details on that. And then you see Thames crowned as the Afrobeat's new queen. I think it's high time that we have an Afrobeat queen.
Now,
yeah, but then Arasta is coming up.
They're both amazing.
All of them. I mean, this should be for entertainment. Let me just not say it. Okay. We'll go through page 17 for more details. Yes, definitely. And then this is coming from Ganusi. He said, how Funina snide remark turned instant social media rave.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But then go through.
What could have happened to made it into a drama on social media now?
You never can tell.
There are
a lot of things that happens.
I'm curious about
funerals,
that. That story.
That you can't tell. I mean, if there's one thing I don't want to be a part of, is the Ghanaian way of funerals.
Oh, you've seen it before? I don't think I've ever.
It's everywhere on social media. I mean, they bring out the cops and what you love to do. If you're a mechanic, they dress you in mechanic attires with everything.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see. I mean, the side. Yeah. But then one cannot take that away from them. I mean, the mental trauma that one will have to go through.
Yeah, because it's new.
But I'll go through page 16 for more details. Why I can't blame God for death of 11 family members. This is coming from Enugu tanker fire victims' relatives.
Our heart goes to the family.
Yeah. I mean, the picture of the kids. It's sad,
It's really sad.
When I was seeing it, it just reminded me of what these children would have become, But then life happened.
Yeah, life happens.
This is something that you can't take away. I mean, I'm literally scared now when I see tankers. I've always been scared. Like, when you're going and you see a tanker, I'll be like, please just pass.
And we were having a conversation with someone saying, how come, like, it's been a while where we would hear of tanker explosion, but then in the past,
it kept happening.
Past months, it's been consistent.
And then people are not still taking the
safety measures
that we keep putting out there. When you see the spill, you see people going with buckets and phones and what have you. It's terrible. It's terrible, So, go through page 2 for more details about this sad story. How police bullets shattered caterer's womb in Enugu. I'm wondering.
No, that's a caterer. What?
Caterer's womb in Enugu.
What?
I'm wondering how that happened.
Fatima, what? As like she had to be shot on a close view, and
Shattered.
no.
When something is shattered, it's like broken into pieces.
But and she even survived it. Could be it. Okay, I don't
Well,
even know
it's
what
not
to say about
surprising
that.
because if it's not your time to go, there's nothing that will happen to you. that you
Yeah,
will not
people will
survive.
say you just suffer, but then you.
But you didn't. You
Yeah, but
survive
you
it.
wouldn't die.
But when it's time, you would definitely die.
Yeah.
If it is, if she would have been going, if she was going to die by this, she would have died.
So perhaps God
But
just
then,
used the womb to shield.
but then thank God she's alive. But the trauma she will have to live with is another thing. So it's just that it means that when her loved ones see her behave in certain way, it's sad.
Yeah, of
Our
course,
heart
it's going
goes
to
out
leave a
to
dent
this
in
woman,
her
yes.
mind, especially if she
I
does
just
not
hope
have
she's
kids
married
already.
and,
You know, our hearts go to that person. Honestly, that must have been traumatic for her and her family. And we hope that our own security men get to be extra cautious when it comes to handling weapons because it is deadly. I mean, it's already clear on that. Well, basically, these are the stories that we could cover this morning. Make sure you go through other, newspapers. We have a lot of them.
Yeah,
Keeping you up to speed with different stories.
Guardian and Punch and Tribune and the rest. But
because there is a lot of story and you have to keep yourself up to speed. So please go ahead and read through so that you know what is happening in your country and beyond. We'll take a break, and when we come back, it will be time for us to open the phone line and talk about what is happening in the Ministry of Education, of course, by the minister. So stay with us.